Hey, my name's shawnshawn. I sell art on shawnshawn.co. Today we're going to react to Doris Rose art. So taking a look at her YouTube channel, she has a display of colors and paintbrushes, no painting, so it's kind of be nice to see her artwork, I think, here versus kind of this generic. But I think she's selling more how-to videos in her channel, like how to clean your brushes, how to do anything with artwork, but not necessarily the portrait per se, more like how do you take care of your paintings and the technicalities of painting, which is good for her website. She has her portrait here with a color background. It's kind of cool. It has like multicolor, so it really sticks out, I think. I might be a little bit closer, like more like my headshot, so you could read a little more. She's a little farther out, so you might want to come in just a little bit, but that's a good, she should be looking at the viewer, I would say. I wouldn't, she's looking down and away, which is good for a portrait painting, but for a photograph, I don't know, it looks a little strange, like, like I would just prefer to look someone straight in the eye because it's going to be like really small on your iPhone. And she has her website link right up the top, which is really good. I like that, so you know right away where to go and check out her stuff. The first video we'll look at is called How I Create Blurry Photorealistic Self-Portrait Using Oil Paints.
Hey everyone, so I wanted to just share my full process for creating this painting to give a little bit of insight.
So right off the bat, it's just super fast paced. It's only a 2-minute video, so it's not really a long paced video. It's just going to be snippets. I think she's just showing the highlights right off the bat, so that's not bad. She's not talking to the camera, but she is talking, which I like having a voiceover included with a portrait.
On how I put my paintings together. You'll notice that I start off with a white canvas as opposed to like a toned ground. Obviously, the advantage of a toned ground is that it allows you to see the colors better, just like a gray palette. But when I'm working with this kind of blurry effect, photographic effect, I start by blocking in just one layer of paint, but after that, I'll go back.
Another thing you can see is she's using an iPad, which is very common with artists. They're going to use an iPad for copying from photos. I did that myself, some of my realistic painting. So no harm, no foul, but you know, it does feel like she doesn't know how to paint without a photo, but that's where the reality is once we develop the photo and you can just paint from a photo. Let's skip ahead just a little bit here, guys.
Keep your painting light and luminescent. You can see here, I've finished my first layer of paint, and so I start by going back through each area and like doing a bit more modeling.
So I think, you know, she's covering a lot of detail really quick because she's trying to fit into kind of that TikTok video is be really fast, and most painting videos now are really fast, but I think I would slow this down and give it a little more air to breathe, so to say, because they're just moving super high pace. I don't think you can follow per se. It's good information, but it's just so fast paced. I'm a fast talker, but I think when you explain things, you want to kind of go at a nice even keel. Otherwise, people kind of complain sometimes. So
you can see here I use some really floofy brushes to create that really blended look, because my drawing is basically just a very simplified block in. And then almost the first layer of paint is kind of like my drawing. And a lot of artists will really just do one pass of their painting and that's it. But I find that especially to get this sort of diffuse edges, luminescent, blurry effect, that adding layers, it really adds to that sense of depth.
Yeah, I think that's one of the key advantages of oil is you let it dry and then you kind of layer on finer and finer layers. So it really adds a lot, I think, to oil. Let's skip further ahead here, guys, because we do want to cover many videos.
You're not doing so much that you lose some of your early brush strokes and the brightness that comes from light bouncing off the back of the canvas. So this is the final result. I've just started this series where I'm going to be leaning into the blurry photographic element.
See, when she started with a headshot, I think I would start with that. That would be kind of a cool thing to see, like, oh, this is what the artist looks like kind of thing. But I mean, where she's painting a self-portrait, so does she really need to show herself?
Which is so fun.
Our next video is called Paint Tutorial, How to Read Pigment Codes. This wasn't the most popular one, but I thought it was super cool because I'm curious myself what the hell the pigment codes are, because I've seen it, but you know, we've all seen the codes on the back of the thing, but you're like, what the hell does that mean? You know, they're different colors to mix, but no one knows what the codes are. So just off curiosity, I'm like, I have to know what the codes are. I did this for my own curiosity, guys.
I've talked a few times about the importance of reading pigment codes in order to understand what's in the paint.
So again, very fast paced. I think you should slow it down just a little bit. It'll be easier to understand for some of the slower listeners.
Color you buy. Like any code, it can be confusing to know how to find and interpret the information, but it's actually quite simple. You can find these codes on the paint tube labels or on the paint manufacturer's website. And pigment codes have 3 parts: a letter, a second or third letter, and a number. The first letter is almost exclusively P for pigment. Then the second letter tells you the hue or color family a pigment belongs in. For example, R for red, Y for yellow, BR for brown, W for white, and M for metallic. Then the final part of the code is...
Yeah, this would be good if you just slow down the photography a little bit more. Just give it a little more breathing time. It's the same with the last video. It was great information, but just so fast paced. It was just like, you can't pick up anything. You have to rewind it several times, which isn't bad from a view perspective. You can have people rewind your video several times and they think, wow, it's a great video, but it's really just, it's cut so fast you have to rewatch it. So you're kind of screwing your viewer in the fact just to get better watch time, but I don't know, maybe that's the intent here.
Is a number. And this number is given to a pigment based on when it was added to the color index. As you know the color family by the second or third letter, this final number tells you the exact pigment within that color family that is inside the paint. I've never learned all these numbers by heart, even for common pigments, but it's easy to look up this pigment number in the color index online, or simply typing in the whole code into Google.
This is kind of cool. I really like that. I like it. It was a really short video, very informative. You got to all the meat of the information really quickly. I would just slow it down just a little bit to do one example maybe versus show all the examples at once really quick. So again, just a stylistic issue, but great information. Third video is oil paint tutorial, the pros and cons of cadmium red and the best alternative paint colors. So this is one of the most popular videos. I'm not sure why, but let's find out, guys.
If paint colors were mean girls, cadmium red would definitely be one of the plastics.
So she's talking to the video, that's really good, but she's didn't have a headshot where she's talking straight to the camera. I think it'd make it a little bit better just to introduce yourself on the camera and then straight into the video. Just a little bit. I think you make a tighter bonding between the artist's face, who they are. So a lot of people buy the artist, you know, the personality, and then they buy the art. Obviously, she's a really good artist, so I don't think she's having any problem selling her art, but some artists are shyer because then you get the public image, but you're in the public anyway, especially on your website, your face is right there, so I don't know what advantage there is to hiding your face and making it kind of secretive, but you're not really secretive because you're on the internet. I just don't get that in a way, but for women, I guess you don't want to be stalked, so maybe that makes sense.
Artists tend to have a love-hate relationship with this color. It certainly divides opinion. It's a stunning, opaque, bold red that's a staple in so many basic paint sets, yet it's toxic, expensive, and doesn't mix well with others. Cadmium red initially replaced the highly toxic mercury-based vermilion, but even though cadmium paint has a very low toxicity, there are still concerns over long-term environmental harm of any...
Okay, so she's talking about the environment. Let's scroll ahead a little. We're gonna miss some information here, but...
You'll need a cooler red like permanent rose or permanent alizarin crimson. Cadmium red is chalky, bright, and opaque with a very high tinting strength, and this combo makes it hard to use in a subtle, nuanced way in color mixing. And because it's opaque, unless you mix it with transparent rather than other opaque colors, you might end up with muddy or heavy mixes that can appear flat. So though cadmium red will always be favored by some, other artists tend to look for alternative orangey red or scarlet colors. Colors that are perhaps less toxic, less expensive, and maybe a little bit easier to use in mixes. Most cadmium red hues are made with pyrrole reds, which are the closest replacement in opacity and color. Naphthol red is also popular. It's slightly more vibrant and intense, creating cleaner color mixes.
So I like this video. It's very technical, just straight to the point. It's dealing only about oil paint, only about a color. So it's very exact and very defining. So I think from a YouTube search standpoint, it's very excellent in that aspect because you're going to find like it's only about cadmium red, while other painting videos about colors probably going to be the span of their favorite colors for a particular artist per se, which is great because you kind of see what their painting goes into their paintings. But this is interesting because it's just one particular color and alternative. So it's very, very exact and very detailed, which is great for a YouTube search SEO.
Also fades faster.
Let's go a little bit ahead, guys.
It's much pinker than the original. And just a reminder, when a paint color has the name hue in the title, it means that it's a color that's mimicking an original pigment that's either too toxic, too expensive, or rare, and it uses different pigments to achieve a similar look. My favorite paint color to use in this scarlet color space is called Vermilion Extra by Old Holland. It uses pigment PR251. Unfortunately, it's very rare. I've only found this paint color sold by Old Holland. I don't see it in other brands. and it somehow manages to be more expensive than as much as other
Let's go to another one.
like Venetian red, but is still very handy for certain details across a variety of skin tones. I'm currently using it to paint clothing that has much more vibrant, saturated colors than you'd ever see in the skin, and I find this useful to create those bright scarlet tones. If you hear the word extra in a paint color name, it means that the paint color is more hardy and light fast.
I'm not sure about this video thing. She uses InShot, I guess, is kind of her video tech. It's cool, but it's probably a free one because it has the insignia on top of it. It looks kind of cheesy to do this. I would just pay InShot the full version. I had to bite the bullet on the video tech I'm using here, so I had to I've used it for free for a long time, and now I'm stuck with buying it. Big deal, you know, you're like, eventually you got to pay for your products, right?
Cadmium red has just as many downsides as it does upsides, and it's really acquired taste that painters tend to either love or hate. I've definitely gone off cadmium red over the years. I used to love how bold and opaque it was, but now I'm trying more subtle and layered techniques like glazing. I prefer to use more transparent and weaker tinting strength colors. That's why I've looked for an alternative and found a number that I love to use. Basically, we're a lot luckier than the old masters in terms of the paint colors we have access to, so it's good to know what's available and what are the advantages and disadvantages of using different colors so that you can make the best choice for you.
I think it's really, really good, solid advice here. So we got a little bit about how she paints and some of the technical side of painting, which is really great. I was looking more for her painting videos because I want to see how she paints, but her channel, again, is more paint techniques, which is great for the learning artist. So I think, you know, the gear is a really good type of channel for the artist per se. I don't know about the collector, but you definitely get the artist per se, or you might get collectors that are kind of amateur artists would really love her work as well. So let's check out our website. So right now you have your Doris Rose on the top. A lot of white space here. Portraits are material, experience, empathy, and connection, Doris Rose. So it's kind of cool. She has her own website. What? You have shop with commission, prints, merch, hand painted gift, works, blur, recent painting, objectified, to have pause. I don't know what the have pause is about, but it probably makes sense within if you know her work. She has art coaching, so that's really cool. Recommended art supplies is a really good page to have. I have this as well. She has all her social links here, which is very popular nowadays. I'm kind of torn. Usually I recommend not to have your social media because that's where you're going to buy on your website, so you don't want them to leave. Because if you go to the TikTok, you might land on another channel. Same with YouTube, Instagram, link in bio. She has a bio, contact. Let's look at the commission page here real quick. So she has a picture of, I think, of herself. So it's kind of the whole process. A lot of different techniques, sittings. And then she has a commission request. So I think that's a pretty good commission page. I think you got pretty much what you want to do. So she probably does a lot of commissions if it's right at the top. This is a print. How to order prints, but there's no prints here. So that's kind of like, why don't you just buy a print and call it a day? So she has Society 6. So she has her art prints on Society 6, okay. So this is cool. Society 6 is a really big art website, but I probably would have the pages linked on here and then have Society 6. That's harder to manage, I guess, from a website standpoint, but you know, the person doesn't want to go to another outside website. You might get Society 6 and end up on a different web pages too, so that's kind of a risk. Let's skip that. We'll go to Works Blur. So she has some of these blur works. I'm not sure if her website's set up for, it only seems to set up for a phone, which is, a lot of people are using their phones to see a lot of websites. So from a phone, I bet this looks good, but from a website, to see it as a website, it doesn't show great. It just kind of shows like an Instagram view. Like you have a lot of wasted white space here, so I'm not sure if that's a great thing. The paintings don't click open to kind of get a better view of them, so you might want to think about that. That might be kind of cool. She has objectified. Let's figure out what this means. I guess as objects with portraits, I don't know. To have pause, this is the most curious. I don't know what it means. I don't understand this topic, but it probably makes sense to the artist, but using something that just doesn't make sense to the, you know, new person landing on the page is kind of like a little risky because, you know, like if you come to have a pause, what does that mean? I don't know. It's obviously a series of paper, I guess. She has digital artwork. This is really she has some of her commission artwork. So this is good. You might want to just stick this on the commission page and then you can see like, oh, here's my clients, this is what they thought. She has a virtual workshop, so this is cool. So she lives in Canada, I guess. So, I mean, that's a really cool thing. What is this? Is it a Patreon site? I don't know what this is. So you can buy a person a coffee, which is cool. I have that too on my channel, so that's always a good ad. So looking on this page, I think these are recommended items. So these are probably Amazon links, so this is really smart. You kind of get like what you want to buy and then what she recommends to other artists. She obviously is coaching artists. So this is kind of smart to have recommended products. That was kind of cool because it actually opens up to her own page on Amazon to recommend people. This is really cool. He has art books recommended. I think that's really strong. She probably could do art book reviews. I think I've done that a few myself. Since she has all these recommended books, it'd probably be a smart thing to review them as well. Shh, don't tell other artists. I have to remind myself that. My secret. But yeah, I think it's kind of an interesting website. She has socials, artists. This is going to have her bio, I guess. So just short and quick, that's cool. It might be nice to have kind of photos of different events she went to here to kind of make it a little more connecting with the artist. She has a really simple contact form. And then I think she had a subscribe or something that pops up on her window when she comes in, like subscribe to my mailing list, which is really cool. Unfortunately, I tried to reload that and it wouldn't reload. There's also this not secure thing. So I had this pop up of my own website recently. It's super annoying, but she might want to get that fixed because that's going to stop a lot of sales off this website. But yeah, it's an interesting website. I think I'd add a little more versatility as far as seeing the paintings and different shots. You can probably do 4 shots per painting. Like here's my painting, and then here's a painting on the wall, and here's on another wall, and you can kind of show different painting, you know, living room, bedroom, whatever goes with the painting to kind of spice that up and kind of frame it in the person's mind of what their artwork will look like in their house versus just showing the artwork and then hopefully they're creative enough to imagine the size. And a lot of people aren't good with sizing, so they wouldn't know if it fits or not. But yeah, that's my recommend. I think it has really a lot of potential. If you want to learn a lot about, as an artist, to learn different techniques in oil painting, I think is a really strong channel. If you'd like to subscribe, you can subscribe below. And I'll see you in the next Artist React video. See you guys.